Hello guys and welcome back to TechWolf, and today we are going to do CompTIA Tech Plus practice exam, and this is already questions, or these are already questions for latest CompTIA Tech Plus exam. And first question is: a user forgets their Windows login password and does not have password reset disk. What is the best course of action? Reinstall Windows, remove the hard drive and connect it to another PC, reset password using an administrator account, disable the password requirement in BIOS, or delete the user profile. And here the correct answer is reset the password using an administrator account, as an administrator can reset a user's password without erasing any data. And next question, and by the way guys, if you are interested to take or do these practice tests for yourself, go to Skill Test Pro. There are three practice tests for all exams, for all CompTIA exams, for Microsoft exams, for Cisco exams, and these are very updated to the latest exam objectives guys. So always, if you are going for these exams for your CompTIA, Microsoft or Cisco, as these are all multiple choice question exams, do these questions as many as you can before your real exam, so you get used to the format of the exam, so as you get used to answering and reading and understanding these questions. So let's read this question. A technician is tasked with setting up a printer. So technician needs to set up a printer for a remote office where users will connect over a network. So we are setting up a printer for a remote office where users will be connecting over network. What is the best method? So we understand by reading questions that we, as a technician for example, are setting up a printer for office where users need to connect over the network, so pretty much over the internet. So what is the best method for doing it? And once we have a good understanding about what we need to do and what we are tasked with, then by reading answer by answer by answer or answer options, each of them we will be able to easier find the correct answer. So set up the printer as a network printer. This is the first. Connect the printer via USB to a single computer. So we straight away start understanding that here something is not right, why we would need to connect printer with USB to a single computer. Share the printer from one workstation. Use an older printer with parallel port connectivity, or enable Bluetooth printing. So what would be the correct answer? And here the correct answer is set up a printer as a network printer, as network printers allow multiple users to connect without requiring a direct physical connection. And this answer pretty much is telling you that we are doing this as a network printer. And here we also straight away see that in the question itself it was asking printer for a remote office where users will connect over the network. So next question, a user reports that their computer is making loud noises when running. What is the most likely cause? So the problem is loud noises when computer is on. A malware infection, a failing cooling fan or obstructed airflow, a corrupted operating system, an outdated software driver, or a slow internet connection. Which would be the correct answer here? And here the correct answer is a failing cooling fan or obstructed airflow. If you would see in these answer options, like for example HDD, as hard disk drive also has a moving parts, it is another thing which could cause loud noises. But as we are seeing here, failing cooling fan, as fans also have their moving parts, they also tend to fail in our computer system. So the correct answer most likely is a failing cooling fan or obstructed airflow. Yes, this is the correct answer. Loud noises often indicate fan issues or dust buildup causing the fans to work harder. And by the way, guys, I'm doing these questions with you together also for the first time, as I have not taken this exam also myself. I'm just doing this for the purpose of the video. So if I will fail, I will fail together with you. As I have passed this CompTIA Tech Plus, A Plus, Network Plus, Security and many others from other dividers like Microsoft and Cisco exams already hundreds of times, and I know that if you want to really prepare for these exams, take at least 500 to 1000 questions for yourself before your real exam. Firstly, this will allow you to learn faster, because when you are doing these exam type questions before your real exam, you are getting used to multiple different subjects or exam objectives which are on real exam by doing these exams, not only studying for one, because if you are taking a course or something like that, you are studying one subject, then another subject, then another subject for that particular exam. But if you are doing these practice tests, you are pretty much answering the mix of different subjects, and your head is getting used to it and start easier to learn and understand. And whenever you don't understand or you want to check why this or that question is like this, you can always use Google or search on YouTube, or you can study this particular subject in more depth if you are not strong in it. So, next question. A company wants to limit employee access to specific websites during work hours. What is the best solution? Install antivirus software, manually block websites on each employee's computer, limit internet speeds, use firewall or connect filtering system, require employees to use personal devices for browsing. And here the correct answer is use firewall, and firewalls are for our network protection. Firewalls and content filters can block access to non-work related websites efficiently. A user complains their laptop does not charge even when plugged in. The battery icon shows plugged in, not charging. What should they check first? Try another power adapter, reinstall the operating system, turn off Wi-Fi, change the laptop screen resolution, or replace the laptop's RAM. And correct answer here is try another power adapter, because there might be a problem with your power adapter rather than the computer or the battery which is in the computer. A faulty charger or power adapter is common reason for charging issues. And as you know, there is also a circuit breaker in some of these power adapters, and this circuit breaker might simply go off, and that's why that charger or power adapter also wouldn't be working. A technician needs to install an operating system on multiple computers quickly. What is the best method? Install from a USB drive on each computer separately, use CDs to install on each machine, use network-based PXE boot installation, manually download the operating system on each computer, or install from a recovery partition. Which would be the correct answer here? And the correct answer is use network-based PXE boot installation, as PXE boot allows installation over a network, saving time compared to manual installations. A network administrator needs to set up secure Wi-Fi network for employees and guests. What is the best security protocol to use? VPA3, WEP or WEP, Open Network, Bluetooth pairing, or MAC address filtering. And here the correct answer is WPA3, as WPA3 is the most secure Wi-Fi encryption protocol, providing better protection than VPA2 or WPA2 or outdated WEP security, as we already don't use this WEP, as it is already outdated for our Wi-Fi encryption or Wi-Fi protection. A user plugs in a USB flash drive, but Windows gives an error stating the device is not recognized. What is the best first step? Try the USB drive in another port or computer. Format the USB drive immediately. Uninstall all USB drivers. Restart the router. Disable antivirus software. So, what is the correct answer here? And here, the fastest and easiest way, because as IT technicians, we usually do the fastest and easiest, most logical way. And that would be try the USB drive in another or computer, as testing the USB drive on another port or device helps determine if the issue is with the drive itself or the computer. A technician installs a new SSD in a desktop computer, but the BIOS does not detect it. What should they check first? So we install SSD on computer, on desktop computer, not on laptop, but the BIOS does not detect it. So what should we check first? Reinstall the operating system, ensure that SATA and NVMe drives is properly connected, replace the SSD with an HDD, enable network booting in the BIOS, or check if the power supply is faulty. And here the correct answer would be to ensure the SATA or NVMe drive is properly connected. If a newly installed SSD is not detected, the improper connections or incorrect BIOS settings are common issues or causes. A user reports that their laptop screen occasionally flickers and goes black, but the system remains powered on. They recently connected an external monitor, which works fine. What is the most likely cause? The external monitor is interfering with the laptop's display, the hard drive is failing, a loose display cable inside the laptop battery is low, or the CPU is overheating. So a user reports that their laptop screen occasionally flickers and goes black. So screen goes black and flickers, but the system remains powered on. So the computer is on, but our screen is going black or flickering. They recently connected an external monitor. So we connected external monitor to our laptop, which works fine. So there's no problem with our drivers, most likely. What is the most likely cause? And here the correct answer is that could be caused by a loose display cable inside the laptop. As you know, your laptop screen is also connected to your motherboard. A loose or damaged ribbon cable connecting the screen to the motherboard can cause intermittent display issues. A customer's desktop computer makes clicking noises whenever it tries to boot up, and the operating system fails to load. What is the most likely cause? The power supply is not delivering enough power, the RAM is not properly seated, the CPU fan is malfunctioning, the hard drive is failing, or the monitor is faulty. And the correct answer is that the hard drive is failing, most likely, as clicking noises from a hard drive, like I was mentioning in one of my previous questions, that if you are hearing a clicking or a grinding noises from a computer, that could be only two causes. One is your fan and another is hard drive. And hard drive is mostly one of the issues in this scenario, is a common sign of mechanical failure. Backing up a data immediately and replacing the drive is recommended. So the hard drive is failing. And this wouldn't apply if we would be, for example, using SSD or solid state drives in our computers. Next question, you are troubleshooting a network issue where multiple employees suddenly lost access to their internet, but internal network resources like shared drives still work. What is the most likely cause? The company's firewall is blocking outbound traffic, the internet service provider is experiencing an outage, a virus has disabled the company's network adapters, the DHCP server has run out of IP addresses, or a recent Windows update has removed network settings. And the correct answer is that the internet service provider is experiencing an outage, as if internal resources still work but the internet does not. It's likely an issue with ISP or internet service provider or the modem router providing internet access. An employee reports that every time they try to open and import company spreadsheet, they receive an error stating the file is corrupted. What is the best course of action? Restore the file from a recent backup, reinstall Microsoft Office, reboot the computer and try again, rename the file and try opening it again, remove the file to another folder and attempt to open it. And here the correct answer is restore the file from a recent backup. As if a file is corrupted, the best solution is to restore a previous version from a backup. A business owner wants to protect their critical data from accidental deletion and hardware failures. What is the best backup strategy? Only use cloud storage since it's more secure. Use a combination of cloud storage and external backup drive. Use an external USB drive and backup manually when needed. Store important files on a secondary internal hard drive. Or print out essential files and keep physical copies. So what would be the best course of action here? And the best thing is here to use a combination of cloud storage and external backup drive, as a hybrid approach ensures redundancy: cloud storage for offsite security and external drive for quick local recovery. A user complains that their laptop battery drains much faster than before, even when fully charged. So we have a battery problem which is draining even if it is fully charged. They primarily use their laptop while traveling. And this user is primarily use their laptop while traveling. So they primarily use their laptop while traveling. What is the most practical solution? Replace the laptop motherboard, reduce screen brightness and disable background applications, upgrade to a solid-state drive, uninstall all unnecessary software, or switch to an older version of the operating system. And when it comes to saving your battery, always this is to look at your resources. And your resources in this scenario would be to reduce screen brightness and display background applications. Lowering brightness, closing background applications, and enabling battery saving mode can significantly extend battery life. A company has recently been experiencing frequent phishing attacks. Employees receive emails that appear to be from their manager asking for login credentials. What security measure should be implemented first? Increase the password complexity policy, install additional antivirus software, enable multi-factor authentication for all accounts, limit employee internet access, or switch to an offline email system. And the correct answer here is enable multi-factor authentication for all accounts, as multi-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security, making it harder for attackers to gain access even if they steal a password. A user reports their external USB hard drive is not recognized when plugged into any USB port on their Windows 10 computer. What should you check first? Check disk management to see if the drive appears but is unallocated. Replace the USB cable with a new one. Update the motherboard BIOS. Check if the USB ports are physically damaged, or uninstall and reinstall the USB drivers. And the correct answer here is check disk management to see if the driver appears but is unallocated. As if the drive appears in disk management but has no assigned letter or partition, it may need to be formatted or assigned a drive letter to be accessible. You are asked to set up home office network for client who wants both wired and wireless connections. The client frequently transfers large files between computers and wants the fastest speeds available. What is the best solution? Set up a Wi-Fi only network with high-speed 5 GHz router. Use power line adapters to extend the network through electrical wiring. Use a wired Ethernet connection with gigabit speeds for large file transfers and Wi-Fi for general use. Configure all devices to use Bluetooth for data sharing, or install multiple routers to split the network into separate segments. And the correct answer is that we should use a wired Ethernet connection with gigabit speeds for large file transfers and Wi-Fi for general use, as wired Ethernet provides faster and more reliable speeds for large file transfers, while Wi-Fi offers flexibility for mobile devices. A customer brings in a laptop that no longer detects any Wi-Fi networks. The Wi-Fi was working fine until yesterday, and no new updates were installed. What is the best first step to diagnose the problem? Check if the Wi-Fi adapter is disabled in the device manager. Replace the laptop's wireless card. Manually configure an IP address. Update the BIOS to the latest version, or reinstall the operating system. And here the correct answer is check if the Wi-Fi adapter is disabled in the device manager. Sometimes Wi-Fi adapters get disabled accidentally via software settings. Checking the device manager or function key toggles is the quickest way to confirm this. You are troubleshooting a desktop computer that randomly shuts down after running for a short period. You check power supply and connections, but everything seems fine. What is the most likely cause of this issue? The hard drive is failing, causing power interruptions. The BIOS needs an update to stabilize system power. The computer is infected with malware causing forced shutdowns. The CPU is overheating to a malfunctioning cooling system, or the network card is malfunctioning and disrupting system stability. And here the correct answer is that the CPU is overheating due to malfunctioning cooling system, as overheating often causes unexpected shutdowns to prevent hardware damage. Checking the cooling system, thermal paste and fan functionality is essential. Hello guys and welcome back to TechWolf, and today we are going to do CompTIA Tech plus Practice test or practice exam questions. You can call it however you want, but if you are interested in more of these different practice tests or practice exam questions, you can go to the channel's homepage, and on channel's homepage you will find many playlists for CompTIA certifications, Microsoft certifications and Cisco certifications practice tests. So, no further ado, let's get into it. And first question is, an organization is implementing a security policy that requires encrypting all sensitive files. Which built-in Windows feature should be used to encrypt individual files and folders? BitLocker, File History, NTFS File Encryption or EFS, Windows Defender, or Disk Cleanup? And the correct answer here is NTFS File Encryption, as EFS or NTFS File Encryption allows users to encrypt specific files and folders using NTFS, ensuring that only authorized users can access them. And you know guys that EFS or NTFS files encryption we use when we want to encrypt individual files or individual folders, where, for example, if we need to encrypt all hard disk drive or all HDD or SSD, we would use BitLocker. And next question. A user reports that their Windows computer frequently shows a "your connection is not private" warning in their web browser when trying to access secure websites. Other users on the same network do not experience this issue. What is the most likely cause? Incorrect system date and time, a faulty network switch, a failing hard drive, too many browser tabs open, or outdated video drivers. Which would be the correct answer here? And here the correct answer is incorrect system date and time, as SSL certificates rely on accurate system time for validation. If the system clock is incorrect, it may cause SSL errors. A technician is troubleshooting a Windows PC that fails to boot and displays an NTLDR is missing error. What should be done first to resolve this issue? Reinstall Windows from scratch, use a bootable USB to replace NTLDR, run full disk defragmentation, replace the hard drive, or disable secure boot in BIOS. And here the correct answer is use a bootable USB to replace NTLDR, as the NTLDR file is necessary for Windows booting. If missing, it can be restored using recovery tools from a bootable USB. A Windows user is unable to install updates. The error message states insufficient disk space. The user has a small 128 gigabit SSD with only a few gigabytes free. What is the best solution? Format the drive and reinstall Windows, clear unnecessary files and expand virtual memory, upgrade the computer's RAM, change the update server settings, or defragment the SSD. Which would be the correct answer? And here the correct answer is clear unnecessary files and expand virtual memory, as removing unnecessary files and adjusting virtual memory can free up space needed for updates. A technician notices that server is frequently running out of storage space, despite users not adding large amounts of data. Actually, I pronounced it spelled it wrongly, so it would be like a technician notices a server is frequently running out of storage space despite users not adding large amount of data. A scan shows that log files are consuming a significant portion of the drive. What is the best course of action? Replace the server's hard drive, restrict user file uploads, disable logging services, configure log rotation and cleanup policies, or upgrade the operating system. And the correct answer here would be to configure log rotation and cleanup policies, as implementing log rotation ensures that older logs are deleted or archived automatically, freeing up the space. A technician needs to recover a deleted file on a Windows machine that has been emptied from the recycle bin. So here, if we delete the file, you know that it goes into the recycle bin. So that was one way how you can recover it. You can get it from recycle bin. But in this scenario, as you see, a technician needs to recover a deleted file from Windows machines that has been emptied, so deleted also from recycle bin. What is the best approach to recover this deleted file? Reinstall the operating system, clear the temporary files, restart the computer, check event viewer logs, or use file recovery software. And as you know, guys, if even you are deleting the file from your operating system, it can still be recovered from your hard disk drive or SSD, but you would need to use some recovery or file recovery software. So the correct answer in this scenario would be to use a file recovery software. Deleted files can sometimes be recovered using specialized recovery tools if they haven't been overwritten. A technician is troubleshooting a system that is continuously displaying access denied errors when user tries to delete certain files. The user is an administrator. What should be checked first? The recycle bin, the firewall settings, the internet connection, file ownership settings, or the task manager. Which would be the correct answer here? And the correct answer is file ownership settings, as if a file's ownership has been changed, even an administrator may not have permissions to delete it. And like I'm always mentioning in my videos, guys, before your real exam, do these practice tests as many as you can rather than spending your money on exam fee. Because anyway, sooner or later, if you will be rushing through without practicing before the real exam, you might simply fail and you might throw out your exam fee. And me myself personally, I'm doing at least 500 to 1000 practice test questions before each of these exams, or I have already done it, guys, because I have many CompTIA certifications, Microsoft and Cisco certifications myself, and before I even have taken any of these exams, I do minimum 500, but optimally that would be 1000 these practice questions for each exam myself. And here on Skill Test Pro, for example, this is one of resources where you can get 3 absolutely free practice tests for any of CompTIA certifications or Microsoft certifications or Cisco certifications. So go do it and practice before your real exam, because when you are studying, most likely you are studying some course, and when you are studying only course, you are all concentrating at particular time only on one subject, where if you are doing practice tests, there are multiple subjects in one practice test, and your brain learns to switch from one subject to another subject and answer these questions rather than concentrating only on one subject. That's why you should do these practice tests. Okay, but enough rambling, let's get into the next one. A user reports that every time they open their web browser, they are redirected to an unknown search engine. The homepage settings reset after each restart. What is the most likely cause? A corrupted browser cache, a misconfigured firewall, a browser hijacker, a hardware failure, or an outdated antivirus program. Which is the correct answer for this question? Actually, I'm doing these questions with you guys, that's why I also have to think a little bit before I pick the correct answer, so you also pick the correct answer to this question. And here a correct answer would be a browser hijacker, as a browser hijackers modify homepage and search engine settings, often rewriting changes after restart. Next question. A technician receives a ticket stating that multiple users on the network are experiencing frequent server not found errors when trying to browse the internet. What is the best troubleshooting step? Restart the user's devices, check the DNS server settings, update the web browsers, flash the browser cache, or disable VPN services. And the correct answer here is, or would be, to check the DNS server settings, as incorrect or malfunctioning DNS settings can prevent domain names from resolving, leading to browsing issues. And almost always when there is server not found or when it is related to web, it would be DNS in your exam answers, or something related to DNS, something related to DNS server, as those problems are mostly caused by DNS domain or IP resolution. Next question. A Windows user reports that their computer randomly restarts multiple times a day. There are no blue screen error messages. Upon checking Event Viewer, the technician sees a log entry indicating a kernel power error. What is the most likely cause? Corrupt user profile, incorrect display settings, missing system updates, failing power supply, or driver incompatibility. So what would be the correct answer to this question? And here the correct answer is failing power supply, as kernel power errors often indicate unstable power delivery, likely due to failing PSU or power supply unit. And next question would be, a user is unable to open certain files on their external hard drive. Other files on the same drive are accessible. Upon checking the file properties, the technician sees the file system is NTFS and the user does not have full control permissions. What is the best solution? Convert the file system to FAT32. So you should also know file systems, which are for different operating systems, or for example, which are compatible with all operating systems. Run a disk check for bad sectors. Reinstall the USB drivers. Grant the user necessary file permissions, or replace the external hard drive. What would be the correct answer for this question? And here the correct answer is grant the user necessary file permissions, as NTFS. This is Windows native file system developed by Windows. You should also know it. Permissions can restrict access to specific files. Modifying them allows the user to regain access. And like I'm mentioning, guys, in all my videos, go and do these practice tests for yourself. On Skill Test Pro, there are practice tests, 3 free practice tests for all examinations, for CompTIA examinations, for Microsoft and Cisco examinations. For all exams, you can get 3 free practice tests, and the more you will do these practice tests before your real exam, the easier it will be for you to pass. And by the way, on Skill Test Pro, these questions are updated to the latest exam standards, rather than in many other websites or many other providers I have seen. They have like 10 years or 5 years old exam questions and they are not updating, but the Skill Test Pro is the latest updated questions. So guys, next question is, a technician is troubleshooting a Windows PC that is displaying the error boot MGR is missing when starting up. What should be attempted first? Run Startup Prepare Windows installation media, replace the power supply, check the system's GPU for failure, reinstall all drivers, or run a full disk defragmentation. So which one would be the correct answer here? And here's the correct answer would be to run a startup repair from Windows installation media. Yes, boot MGR errors often indicate boot file corruption, which can be fixed using startup repair. And next question, a user reports that their laptop is no longer connecting to Wi-Fi networks, even though other devices in the office are working fine. The laptop shows no Wi-Fi networks available. What is the most likely cause? So we don't have internet access or Wi-Fi, we don't see, or our laptop doesn't see Wi-Fi. The router is overloaded, the Wi-Fi password was changed, the laptop's wireless adapter is disabled, the firewall is blocking connections, or the laptop's antivirus is outdated. And here the correct answer is the laptop's wireless adapter is disabled, as if no networks are detected, as normally if you are trying to get to some Wi-Fi, there is always some Wi-Fi around. If that is not your Wi-Fi, then it will find at least some Wi-Fi networks which are not yours but for your neighbor's library or whatever, where you are nearby. But if it doesn't find any Wi-Fi networks in your area, this most likely could mean that laptop's wireless adapter is disabled, so it's not even searching, as the wireless adapter may have been turned off either manually or by system settings. So all you need to do is enable your Wi-Fi wireless adapter. A technician is called to investigate a desktop computer that keeps displaying a low virtual memory warning. Task Manager shows that RAM usage is near 100%. What is the best solution? Reinstall the operating system, upgrade the RAM, disable background applications, defragment the hard drive, or increase page file size. And here the correct answer is that we should increase page file size, as increasing virtual memory, which is page files, can help compensate for high RAM usage, preventing system shutdowns. A user complains that they are unable to access shared network files after a recent Windows update. Other users can still access the shared drive without issues. What should be checked first? The router's firewall settings, DNS server configuration, the user's browser cache, the DHCP lease expiration, or network drive mapping settings. And here the correct answer is the last one, most likely network drive mapping settings, as Windows updates can sometimes remove or reset mapped drivers, causing access issues. A user reports that their Windows system is displaying the no boot device found error after restarting. The technician confirms that the hard drive is detected in the BIOS. What should be the next troubleshooting step? Reinstall the operating system, replace the hard drive, and by the way guys, when you are seeing something like reinstall the operating system, in 19% or 99% of cases that will never be the correct answer. However, there will be that answer like reinstall the operating system or change the motherboard, where these like very critical answers are never the correct answers, because that is pretty much you are resetting all system, or if it's required to in your system or in your computer to replace the motherboard, this is pretty much already replacing one of the most expensive parts in that computer, or pretty much that would be replacing your computer. That's why in 99% of cases, like reinstall the operating system, like all Windows or all Mac OS operating or all Linux operating system, or change all motherboards, those will not be the correct answers in these questions. So just keep it in mind that this is how you can one way like eliminate these types of answer options in your exam. So replace the hard drive, check boot order settings in BIOS, update the firmware, or perform a factory reset. And by the way, it doesn't apply to hard drive, as hard drive is just one small component if we are talking about the physical parts of your computer, where motherboard is, or where operating system is the main part. It's not like reinstalling one application on that operating system, or replacing only hard drive on your motherboard, or replacing a fan, which are cheap, relatively cheap parts of your computer. So which one would be the correct answer? And sorry by disturbing you guys with all this talking. And here the correct answer would be check boot order settings in BIOS, as if the BIOS detects a hard drive an incorrect boot order may prevent the operating system from loading. A company has implemented a policy requiring all users to use complex passwords, but they are still experiencing unauthorized access incidents. What additional security measures should be implemented? Network segmentation, disabling USB ports, enabling guest Wi-Fi, two-factor authentication or 2FA, blocking non-standard ports. And a correct answer for this question would be to implement two-factor authentication or 2FA, as 2FA or two-factor authentication adds an additional layer of security by requiring a second verification factor beyond just a password, and that is like, for example, who you are, what you know. That this is related into two-factor authentication because, for example, what you know, that would be, for example, your password or username. That would be one factor of authentication, but another might be who you are. For example, your fingerprint or eye scan or things like that. Or there could be, for example, another type of two-factor authentication which you could implement, like that would be what you know. What you have, sorry guys, and you might have, like, for example, fob to authenticate or some card to authenticate and things like that. So if you are not aware, then read more about two-factor authentication and its types of two-factor authentication. So next question: a technician is troubleshooting a laptop that frequently overheats and shuts down unexpectedly. So we have a laptop that overheats and shuts down unexpectedly. The CPU usage is normal and no background processes seem excessive. What is the most likely cause? And here, malware infection, failing hard drive, software conflict, actually it is doubling, dust accumulation in cooling system. And here the most likely answer would be dust accumulation in cooling system. And by the way, when you are seeing this laptop frequently overheats and shuts down, shutting down of computer itself, it might be caused only by two things. Whether it is computer protecting itself. Actually, in both scenarios, computer is protecting itself. For example, it is overheating and it is shutting down to protect itself. And that would be, in this scenario, dust accumulation in cooling system, as excess dust buildup can block airflow, causing overheating and system shutdowns. So because computer is protecting itself, fan is not working, parts are heating up and computer automatically shuts it down. So an employee receives an email appearing to be from their company's IT department asking them to verify their login credentials by clicking on a link. The email includes a sense of urgency, warning of account deactivation. What type of attack is this? Brute force attack, phishing, denial of service attack, man-in-the-middle attack, or ransomware. And here that is phishing, as phishing attempts trick users into providing sensitive information by masquerading as legitimate communication. A user reports that their computer is running extremely slow. Task Manager shows that disk usage is consistently at 100%, even when no applications are open. What is the most likely cause? Malware infection, a failing hard drive, too many browser extensions, low Wi-Fi signal strength, or incorrect power settings. And here in this scenario, that would be most likely a failing hard drive, as a consistently high disk usage percentage can indicate a failing hard drive, especially if no significant applications are running. Hello guys, welcome back to TechWolf, and today we are going to do another CompTIA Tech Plus practice test, and this is already for the latest exam objectives. And first question is: a user reports that their laptop's keyboard is typing the wrong characters. What is the most likely cause? The keyboard layout is set incorrectly, the hard drive is full, the display settings are incorrect, the CPU is overheating, or the Wi-Fi is disconnected. What is the correct answer? And here, if your keyboard is typing wrong characters, then most likely is that the keyboard layout is set incorrectly. Incorrectly keyboard layout settings can cause keys to produce different characters than expected. A technician needs to check computer's internet speed. What tool should they use? So, if you would want to check computer's internet speed: Task Manager, Control Panel, Device Manager, Speed Test Website, or Event Viewer. So what would you do if you would want to check your internet speed, your upload times or download times? So we would use Speed Test Website, as speed test websites measure internet upload and download speeds. A company wants to prevent employees from installing unauthorized software. What is the best way to enforce this policy? So you don't want employees to install pretty much any software, not only unauthorized, so pretty much you don't want, or you want to prevent employees or anyone who is using your company computers from installing any software on those computers, as logically some employees might install something what could be a hazard or pretty much a problem or malware to your company. What would you do in this scenario? Disable all network connections, delete all software installers, use user account restrictions, manually approve all software installations, or remove all USB ports. So, what would you do? And here in this scenario, we would use user account restrictions. Because if you think logically, we would not do manually approve all software installations, because that would be like any time someone wants to install something, we would need to approve it. This is too much work involved in this. Removing all USB ports, that is also doesn't make sense, because maybe user needs to upload some files or something to the computer from one computer to another computer. He might need actually USB ports, or for example delete all software installers. This wouldn't be really possible to do, because it is already by default there in the operating systems, or disable all network connections. That doesn't make sense at all. This means that if we would disable all network connections, we would pretty much prevent user from using a Wi-Fi or internet altogether. So the best option in this scenario would be to use user account restrictions, where we have all user accounts and we would restrict him from, or all users to install anything, or give them appropriate permissions to which wouldn't allow users to install anything. As here it says, restricting user permissions prevents unauthorized software installations, and that is the easiest and fastest way. A user needs to access their work computer remotely while traveling. What solution should they use? VPN with remote desktop access, cloud storage, email forwarding, local file sharing, or guest Wi-Fi. And here, if you hear remote, word remote, and you can see in options VPN, that would be the most likely answer, because VPN, or companies also use VPN connections to access, like company, for example, data, company servers, company internal network. We would use VPN, so this would be the most likely answer. So VPN with remote desktop access. A VPN with remote desktop access allows secure remote connection to a work computer. And like I'm mentioning, guys, as I'm mentioning it also almost in all videos, because I assume that some videos will be watched by some people and other videos will be watched by other people, and not all people will watch the same videos which I am creating, as I am creating rather many videos on different certifications and on these tests, guys, in CompTIA certifications, Microsoft certifications, Cisco certifications, for preparation of these exams. If you are interested, go to the channel's homepage and there you will find many playlists with different certification practice tests. But in general, when you are preparing for your exam, this could be Tech Plus, A Plus, Security Plus, Network Plus, or any other of these exams, whether Microsoft, CompTIA or Cisco, guys, always do at least 500 to 1000 of these practice questions before you take the real exam, so your brain gets used to doing it themselves, not only watching my videos, but try to do them yourself. And on Skill Test Pro, for example, you can do free 3 practice tests for all exams on CompTIA, all Microsoft exams and all Cisco exams, and they are absolutely free. So practice before you take the real exam, so you don't throw out your money, because you will need this. If you will just do some course, for example, where you are going through one particular subject at a time, your brain will not be used to straight away grasp on different subjects and answer or look for correct answers. So do these tests. This is just my advice to all of you, all new guys who are getting into IT, who are doing these exams, guys, as this is the best way to prepare for these exams, because at the same time, when you are reading questions, when you are seeing answers, you are also learning. And especially on Skill Test Pro, it gives you correct answer and answer explanations for each of the questions. If you want to explore it even deeper, you can go on YouTube, search for videos and explore that particular answer even deeper if you don't fully understand here on Skill Test Pro or any other website. However, I found that Skill Test Pro is the best because it offers the latest and it all the time has the most updated questions for these exams, guys. So no further ado, guys, let's get into it and let's continue. So next question is, a technician is troubleshooting a computer that is making a loud clicking noise. What is the most likely cause? And if you have been watching my other videos, here you would know that only 2 things which can make clicking noises in your computer system, whether it's a mobile, so whether it would be your laptop or PC, personal computer, desktop computer, there are only 2 things which could be making clicking or grinding noises. One is fan and another one is HDD, hard disk drive. It doesn't apply to SSD or solid state drives. Solid state drives doesn't have moving parts, where fans always, or our ventilation fan, can make clicking noise when its bearings go down or something, or break down, so we would need to change the bearing fan, or that is hard disk drive when it is getting broken, because that also has a moving part. So only 2 things which would make clicking, grinding or any noises in your computer. And here the answers are a failing power supply, failing hard drive, misconfigured BIOS, faulty keyboard, or an outdated driver. And as per what I said earlier on, a failing hard drive or HDD, as hard drive is or has a moving parts. If that would be a failing SSD, that 100% wouldn't be correct answer, as SSDs or solid state drives, they don't have any moving parts in them. They are pretty much chip based memory. Next, a user wants to connect their smartphone to a printer without using a computer. What feature should the printer support? So, as a user, you want to connect your smartphone to a printer without using a computer. So directly your smartphone to printer. What feature should the printer support? USB 3.0, Ethernet, Bluetooth 2.0, cloud backup or Wi-Fi direct. So what should the printer? Here we are talking about printer feature, not about a mobile phone feature. And here the correct answer for this question is Wi-Fi direct, as Wi-Fi direct allows direct printing from mobile devices without needing a separate network. A technician needs to securely erase a hard drive before disposing of it. What is the best method? So here the problem is securely erasing the hard drive. Quick format the drive, delete all files manually, encrypt the file before deleting them, use a data wiping utility, or defragment the drive. And remember guys, when you have your hard drive, where is all your files, where is your operating system installed if you have only one hard drive on your computer, and if you are just deleting those files like on your computer from your UI or user interface, it doesn't mean that they are deleted. These hard drives, if someone gets their hands on it, if they are not encrypted, they can easily recover all those files which you have deleted. Even if you have deleted on your operating system them from recycle bin, where is the first place where these files go. So always remember it that if that is very important data which you want to delete, you must know how to delete it properly so that data is not recoverable. So which one would be the correct answer here in this question? And here in this question we would use a data wiping utility, as a data wiping utility overwrites all data on a drive, making it unrecoverable. However, the most secure way how to do it would be to physically destroy the hard drive, whether you drill through the holes in it or whether you do shredding of that hard drive altogether. And next question. A user reports that their monitor displays no signal when they turn on their desktop computer. So you turn on your computer and for some reason it displays no signal. What is the most likely cause? The display cable is disconnected or faulty, the computer needs a software update, the user is not logged in, the network connection is down, or the system is overheating. Which one would be the correct answer? And here, if you are seeing there's no signal, most likely this is to do with the display cable, whether it's HDMI or any other whatever technology is being used, but that could be to do with the display cable is disconnected or faulty, as a no signal message usually indicates an issue with the display cable, monitor or graphics card. A technician is helping a user set up cloud storage. The user wants to access files from multiple devices. What is the main advantage of cloud storage in this scenario? So, what is the advantage? That is the question of cloud storage in this scenario. If the user wants to access their files from multiple devices, so from mobile device, from computer, from his laptop, and so on and so forth, what would be the cloud storage advantage in this scenario? Cloud storage eliminates the need for security updates, it improves network speed, it acts as a replacement for antivirus software, it speeds up local file access, files are accessible from anywhere with an internet connection. So what would be the, read the question, advantage of cloud storage? And logically and correctly would be that files are accessible from anywhere with an internet connection. It doesn't matter if you know the login details to your cloud access, you can access your files from anywhere, as cloud storage allows users to access files from any device with an internet connection, making data more accessible. A technician needs to install a new application but encounters a warning that the software is from an unknown publisher. What should they do? Disable the firewall and install the software. Ignore the warning and proceed. Verify the source before installing. Restart the computer and try again. Enable safe mode before installing. And here, before installing, you should verify the source before installing to make sure that that is not some malware which you are installing on your computer. So installing software from a known source can introduce malware. It's important to verify the legitimacy of the application first. A user reports their computer displays a blue screen error frequently. What tool should the technician use to analyze the cause or the cause? Event Viewer, Disk Cleanup, Task Manager, System Restore, or the defragmentation tool. So what would be the correct answer for this question? And here, if you would want to do that, you would use Event Viewer, as Event Viewer logs systems errors and can provide details about the cause of a blue screen error. A technician is installing a new wireless network in an office and wants to prevent unauthorized access. What is the most effective security measure? Disable SSID broadcasting. Enable VP or WPA3 encryption, use MAC address filtering, enable port forwarding, or lower the transmit power. Which would be the correct answer? And here the correct answer is that we would enable WPA3, which is the most secure currently, encryption of our Wi-Fi. So this is Internet Wi-Fi encryption, as WPA3 provides the most secure wireless encryption protecting against unauthorized access. However, here you should also know that if you are using an older computer, then WPA3 Wi-Fi encryption might not work. So there you would enable, let's say, one version before, which was WPA2 Wi-Fi encryption. So keep this in mind, that this works on all latest computers, but in some older computers the WPA3 encryption still wouldn't work for your Wi-Fi protection. So you would use WPA2, but you would never use WEP or WEP because that is already outdated Wi-Fi encryption or protection, you can call it however you want. And next question, a technician is troubleshooting a slow running computer and finds that the hard drive is nearly full. So slow running computer and the hard drive is nearly full. What is the best solution? Increase the page file size, upgrade the graphics card, replace the motherboard, delete unnecessary files and programs, disable automatic updates, which would be the correct answer here. And here the correct answer would be, you might think straight away, if you think about RAM, then you would think about increase the page file size. But you should always, when you are reading a question, pay attention to what question is telling you. It is not telling you for no reason that a technician is troubleshooting a slow running computer and finds out that the hard drive is nearly full. It is telling you here in this question that the hard drive is nearly full. So you straight away eliminate this, increase the page file size, because that would be to do with RAM and to not having enough RAM. Here the correct answer would be to delete unnecessary files and programs, because you should also know as IT person or IT technician, if the hard drive of your computer is nearly full, this makes computer slower, because for operating system in general it is harder to get files from the memory, from long-term memory, which is your hard drive, up to the RAM, so to process it. So always know if your hard drive even if you check on your computer, if your computer starts running slow, and if you didn't know that, guys, that if your hard drive is nearly full, you might find that your computer is running slowly. So the best solution for that would be to delete unnecessary files and programs to free up space. Actually, I should click it. A nearly full hard drive can slow down a system. Removing unnecessary files frees up space and improves performance. As you can see there, guys. A user cannot access a shared network printer. The printer is online, and other users can print without issue. So a user cannot access shared network printer. So printer which is pretty much created. Shared printer means that it has been created for all users to use, but one user for some reason cannot access it, and as the printer is online, as other users can access it without any issues. What should the technician check first in this scenario? For this one user, as other users can use it without problems, and that printer is visible online. So what technician should check first? Verify if the user has permission to access the printer, reinstall the printer drivers on all computers, reset the user's computer, move the printer to different network, or restart the router. What would be the correct answer here? And if you understand the question correctly, as always I am telling you before these exams, if you are doing these multiple choice question exams, guys, always from the very first time try to understand the question and what that question is asking you. And if you didn't understand it straight away when you read it once, read it as straight away another time and try to understand the question before you even start reading the answer options. If you will read the question, you will not understand the question, you will read the answer options, you will just make a bigger house in your head, and then you will have to go back to the question again, but then at that time your head also stores like short-term memory. It will have also this house, these answer options in your head, so it's easier to understand the question, and when you already start reading answer options, your head will already start searching for the options, and that's why it will be easier for you to answer these multiple choice questions. So understand the question, read the question, and only when you do, approach the answer options. So what would be the correct answer here? And here the correct answer logically would be to verify the user has permission to access the printer, because he might not have permissions to access, because here you can see that all other users are using printer, but he for some reason can not access this shared printer on Wi-Fi. So this would be the correct answer, as if the printer is online and working for others, the issue is likely related to the user's permissions. A technician needs to install an operating system on multiple computers without using physical installation media. So without any physical installation media. What is the best method to accomplish? And by the way, in our times already, we are not using any physical installation media to install operating systems as it is required in this scenario. And if you have been installed any operating system, you should know the answer to this question. So, and what is the best method to accomplish this? Burn an ISO to a DVD. You probably, some of you don't even know what is DVD already. Use an external hard drive, use a network-based installation, manually copy the operating system files to each computer, or enable secure boot in BIOS. And the correct answer would be to use a network-based installation, as that is how we install operating systems right now. We don't have any DVDs anymore. We can do like boot up DVDs or USB. We can create boot USB drives and many other things, but in general all we need is we can use a network-based installation. As network-based installation allow operating systems to be installed remotely, reducing the need for physical media. Actually, you don't need any physical media at all to install or reinstall any operating system nowadays in our computers. A user reports that their laptop is not charging even though it is plugged in. The battery icons displays plugged in, not charging. What is the most likely cause? A virus infection, an overheating CPU, a broken LCD screen, a corrupt user profile, or a faulty power adapter or charging port. And here the correct answer is a faulty power adapter or charging port. If a laptop is plugged in but not charging, the issue is usually with the power adapter, charging port, or battery. A technician needs to upgrade the computer's RAM but is unsure of the maximum capacity supported by the motherboard. What is the best way to find this information? Look at the BIOS startup screen, check the manufacturer's documentation, run a disk cleanup tool, try insert a higher capacity RAM stick, check the device manager. And here the correct answer would be to check the manufacturer's documentation, as motherboard manual or manufacturer's website provides the most accurate information on supported RAM capacity and configurations. And that's what you should also do in a real life. Check the manufacturer's documentation, and you can check manufacturer's documentation on all different parts. Whenever you have a question, try to approach the manufacturer documentation and check whether this or that part is compatible with this or that motherboard, or with this or that other parts of that particular computer system. A user accidentally deleted an important file and emptied the recycle bin. So here is the scenario where we deleted a file which we didn't want to delete, and we also somehow emptied the recycle bin. So we also deleted it from our recycle bin, and the recycle bin, as you know, is the first place where all our deleted files go. What is the best course of action to recover this deleted file? Perform a system restore, run check disk command or tool, use file recovery software, defragment the hard drive, or format the hard drive and reinstall the operating system. And here the correct answer would be to use a file recovery software. That's what you can do to recover files. Like I mentioned, I'm not sure in this video or not, but like I was mentioning earlier on in my videos or in these questions, guys, that you can use file recovery software, and if your file haven't been overwritten, then you can still recover it, as deleted files can sometimes be recovered using specialized recovery tools as long as they haven't been overwritten. A technician needs to configure a new router for a home office. The user wants to ensure that only authorized devices can connect to the network. So only authorized devices can connect to the network. What feature should be enabled? Port forwarding, MAC address filtering, WPA encryption, DMZ, or QoS or quality of service settings. And here the correct answer would be MAC address filtering, as MAC address filtering allows only specified devices to connect to the router, providing an extra layer of security. A user is experiencing frequent application crashes on their Windows computer. The technician checks Event Viewer and finds multiple errors related to the application. What should be the first troubleshooting step? Reinstall the operating system, replace the computer's RAM, disable antivirus software, update the application to the latest version, or to reset the user's profile. And here the logically and correct answer would be to update the application to the latest version, as many application crashes are caused by bugs that have been fixed in newer updates. Updating the application is the first logical step.